Right, family and friends, contemporaries, my fellow countrymen, I bring you the warmest of greetings from the TNN podcast. Today is Monday, the 23rd of February, 2026. And the time on the side is 9:25. Apologies for the slight delay. Of course, many adjustments had to be made, so people like you will be able to watch the show. Imagine they've got a top Premiership League match. That's between Man United and Everton, which is still ongoing. So I had to reschedule the program about 2 or 3 different times. I didn't realize that the match was on in the time. But in any case, here we are. And we are here to talk about something very, very serious. But just before I go ahead, obviously this is a slot which was used by or platform by a friend and a brother, Imran Toure, commonly known as Imran T. And I've been having a lot of questions directed at me or calls, some of them of serious concerns to what is going on as he left the program, and etc., so forth and so on. As I speak to you tonight, no, Imran has not left the platform, at least not to my understanding. There's been nothing formal communicated. What I do know is the brother is going through his motions, and you could be ill, you could be in the wrong state of mind in this business and you need time, or you can be so overwhelmed with work, backlogs of other things that you have to do other than this. So he's going through these things, and that's perfectly understood. He's not been able to do programs for the last several weeks. So that has raised concerns because he had 2 slots in a week on this program, on this platform, Mondays and Wednesdays. And obviously, through these Mondays and Wednesdays, nothing has been done in its place. But as the CEO of the platform, I'm here to step in. So I promise you that going forward, we will be having regular topics of some magnitude that you yourselves will appreciate. And we are open to your contributions, suggestions, and proposals. Today, I want to talk about the rule of law. The rule of law is synonymous with democracy, transparency, accountability, all these power words, these buzzwords that you hear are synonymous. But every time in history, there is the abuse of the laws of the land in many different ways, shapes, and forms. But not because the law was abused yesterday means that it is obvious or can be abused today. Because now make mortal man or human beings are making strides. Forgive me, I'll be flowing in between English and Creole, the usual style of this platform, because we speak to a vast concourse of people from different backgrounds, different understandings, if you will understand. Thank you for your attention. So, not because yesterday the rule of law was abused, imply that today the rule of law has to be equally abused. Or you can get away with that simply by saying, what about yesterday, which is very fond of us. So many things happened lately under this administration of retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio, in which there are many questions to be answered in the past 6 to 7 years that we are in now. Okay. Very, very serious questions regarding the rule of law. So we titled this program tonight that the rule of law is not optional. And we say a democratic warning to the government of the Republic of Sierra Leone. So a democratic warning, listen to the language, because most times we take things out of context. As a citizen, I reserve the right to raise the alarm, to advise or warn my government against what I see as unbecoming. And this is what I'm doing here tonight. So now look at the topic and say, look at him. See what we're talking about. See them raising, all this incitement, because none of the quick word again, we don't land this behind them, that people cannot criticize. And don't get me wrong, it's obvious that people can criticize. Why not? Why shouldn't people criticize? They have to. But equally with the criticism comes responsibility. So when you criticize your government, which you are entitled to by law, because the Constitution, where we go talk about briefly, it does give you that entitlement, which is you can speak to your government, you can criticize your government, you can make known to your government what is their shortcomings, their failings, what you think about them, but it also has to be done responsibly. I would say constructive criticism, not criticism, that will amount to incitement, in which you are able, because you've got this aura about you, this power about you, this charm about you, that you are able to move and shake things, move people to react. No, it has to be constructive. And you can see a few people have been offering this constructive criticism from the other side of the political argument, i.e., namely, Dr. Richard Conte, a reading brief regarding the criticism, very, very constructive. Dr. Kaifala Mara, another one, we issue a very strong-worded but very constructive criticism, in which he also asks the government for listen, and government should listen. So here we go, fumble. The rule of law is not optional, and with a sound of democratic warning to the government of Sierra Leone. So I want for once more bring a massive greetings to those of you that have tuned in, and we're asking you to kindly share this message or this broadcast to others, so that can be an overwhelming viewership, not only because it's good for the platform, but it's also good for the people, the country as a whole, because in information lies power. People are able to make informed decisions when they are informed. Okay? So I bring these massive greetings to all of you at home and abroad, and all the people who cherish and love democracy. Tonight, we do confront an issue that goes beyond politics. It goes beyond party colors and beyond personalities. Okay? If I can just repeat, tonight, we confront issues we go beyond politics, beyond party colors, and beyond personalities. Tonight, I would like to examine the soul of our nation, the soul of our leadership. Where do our leadership stand on these many things that we are complaining about, on these many issues that we are raising? Very, very important. And I'm sure Fambulengo agree with me. So as we examine the soul of our democracy, of our nation, this puts to the test, or to the limelight, the integrity of our justice system and the future of constitutional governance in our country, and blessed Sierra Leone. This is serious, Fumble. It's been ongoing for a while. It is a matter of time that a lot of us, if not every one of us, because obviously you have people who support, but they're always in the minority, because good will always conquer evil. What I'm doing here tonight is not an entertainment, because I know in the world of social media, there are many people who are in the entertainment business. On this platform, as people will have known, because we've been around for several years now, what we entertain here is information of relevance, is education of relevance, is informing the people so people make a choice. What is germane to the conversation that the country is having now is what is very important for every one of us. You will have noticed already that I've used the word important many a times, because of course, this platform, we attach importance to everything that we see. We attach importance to words. Words have meanings, and we use the words in the appropriate form or text. We're not talking about people who don't have understanding of contextuality, conceptualization, nuance argument. No. We're talking about the broader complexity of understanding words and sentences and attaching value to these meanings. So tonight, once more, we examine, or I will examine the soul of our democracy, the integrity of our justice system, and the future of constitutional governance in our dear country, Sierra Leone. The truth is telling the public what is really, really important for our country. The truth is in the interest of the public. I want you to know that this is a national responsibility. This is a civic duty. For those of you that have been following this platform for the last several years, you will know that I've always laid emphasis on civic duty because I'm as old enough to understand when civic were taught during our days. It was an entire subject matter, if you will like, which is about raising your awareness, your love, your responsibility towards your country, your assurances that your country can provide for you, your responsibility, your country's responsibility, what you can do for your country and what your country has to do for you, understanding those fine lines, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why what I'm talking about here tonight matters is the recent arrest and detention, not only the detention, but prosecution, not only prosecution, but remand of the APC National Secretary General, Mr. Lansana Doumbouya. It's not just another political headline. And I want for Fambudele, we understand this very clearly, because when I say the arrest, the prosecution, the remand in custody of the All People's Congress Secretary General, I am not saying this because I belong to the All People's Congress. First and foremost, I'm saying this from the perspective of a responsible citizen that I consider myself to be. Talking about issues in a responsible way, talking about our justice system, talking about democracy, which we fought hard for. This second republic that we are in is not a joke. It is a collective responsibility of every one of us. This is why when a president is sworn into office, they vow to uphold the constitution of the republic of the country. Everything that our constitution says is what they vow to do. But when they get into office, there are multiple violations that are so egregious against the people of the country that it beggars belief that how have we come to this? And instead of keeping to campaign promises that they all do, no sooner are they given the opportunity or the mandate to lead and rule the people, that they deviate from these responsibilities. And the people who are the electorates in whom power is vested now become the victims. And this has to stop at some point. But the people, or our people, need to understand this. Thank you, Mr. Moses Doumbouya, and please help to share. Our people need to understand their responsibility towards the state, their responsibility, what they have that is guided, protected by the Constitution. But it has to be done collectively, because the way that people become victims is because they act like individuals, like little chapters, instead of a collective, massive force. The late Malcolm X said during his campaign for civil liberties, social justice, that a single finger, or that he referred to as a digit, is not very powerful. Now understand the context in which it was being used, because a single finger can be powerful, but the context here is a single finger, digit, cannot be powerful, neither two. So 2 can be powerful more than 1, 3 can be powerful more than 2, 4 can be powerful more than 3. But when you have all 5 of your digits and you fold it into a fist, imagine what this can deliver, implying that if people can come together in the collective to speak to the nation, to speak to the leadership, and tell them how angry they are, then the leadership will be bound to act in the way and manner that people expect them to do. Now, I say this, I understand that it's not easy because it's not like it's not been tried before. Because government can become very brutal. Government can become very draconian. Government can become very authoritarian, in which they don't listen to the masses of the people any longer. And we've seen this. So even though the Constitution provides guarantee for the expression of speech, the right to assemble and express your feeling towards your government, that has been denied the people many a times, because there is this fine line that we sometimes walk that the people need a permit, to protest. Two things can be true at the same time. So yes, that's true, but you will ask the question why, which is to ensure that the protest goes well, that it doesn't infringe upon the rights of others, and to make sure that the protesters are protected by the government. But when the government continue to refuse permission to the people to protest them, it then becomes incumbent upon the people to take the law into their own hands, which is in itself controversial, but they are exercising what the Constitution of the land provides them, the freedom to assemble, the freedom to express that feeling of theirs, that rage of theirs against their government. So government is only exacerbating the issue when they deny the people the right for them to protest. So again, like I say, this is not an entertainment. We know that we are examining the soul of our democracy, the integrity of our justice system, which is seriously questionable, and the future of constitutional governance in the country. I also wanted to highlight, or I highlighted the arrest, which is what I want to showcase on this particular program. The APC National Secretary General, Ansana Doumbouya, which some people just consider to be another political headline. And once it's passed, in fact, it becomes an argument between two people, if not more, red and green. This blaming that blaming this issue about them versus us. In the meantime, the state in the middle suffers. Those that have no inclination to support either become victims. And somehow, there is this collective responsibility on our part that we need to realize. You can't say, well, I don't practice politics or I don't do politics, so you don't get involved in some way when you're affected. Because you are a member of the nation. So therefore, you got some degree of responsibility and you have to exercise those rights that the Constitution provides. Don't look at others and just call them idle when they're doing what they're supposed to do to effect change in their society. Right? So this arrest of the APC Secretary General, it raises an alarm bell, a democratic warning which we are sounding to the government. And many before us have done the same, in which they try to caution the government. Sometimes it was done irresponsibly, but most times it's been done in a very responsible fashion. And it is their God-given constitutional right. It is embedded deep in the Constitution, in black and white. Chapters of it that I may quote later in this segment. So we are sounding the constitutional alarm bell because the constitutional alarm bell has been sounded in any case by the government, by their actions. So it happens to be this is a democratic warning and a test of whether the rule of law still stands firm in Sierra Leone. I repeat, it is a test to find out whether the rule of law still stands firm in Sierra Leone. Okay? When a citizen, and I'm talking about any citizen, because despite we don't want to believe this, it is true that some are more powerful than the other, that some are more privileged in a society than others. So I want to say any citizen, okay, is punished for political speech. Democracy becomes questionable. Democracy, it trembles. Because if this is what democracy believes, and then the application goes against the democratic belief, then it's obvious that democracy feels shattered. And this is the case in the arrest of the National Secretary General of the All People's Congress, Mr. Lansana Doumbouya. There are many case studies, both in the past and even in the now. But it mostly has to do with people who oppose government. So this is why my emphasis is on the opposition. The opposition does not necessarily mean the All People's Congress, but the NSG is being mentioned here because he's a high-profile guy, okay, which the whole nation heard about. There are many other cases that people haven't heard about, the nation haven't heard about. But in terms of the NSG, the nation obviously is very, very much aware. So when due process is ignored, what happens? Justice collapses. When institutions bend to political pressures, what happens? The nation drifts towards authoritarianism. Remember, I mentioned authoritarian rule earlier on? This is when you have no regard for the written laws of the land. This is when you become a dictatorship. This is when the press, the fourth estate, refuse to function or can't function because of duress, because of threats, because of intimidations, because of coercion in one way or the other, because some of them can be bought. And all they do is not cover the news, but cover up the news. Take note of this. They don't cover the news, they cover up the news. Because why? They've been coerced, they've been bought, they've taken sides with the wrong side, instead of remaining true to what the Constitution provides for them as the fourth estate. Remember, you've got three arms. There's a reason why they call them the fourth arm, which is to help provide a check and balance system in the country by holding authority or the powerful to account. That is what their job is. Unfortunately, we are experiencing a vast concourse of change in the country regarding the fourth estate, in which maybe only a handful, and I mean it, literally only a handful, can be considered to upholding the ethos of this profession, this noble profession, in which the people count on them to help them to carry out this exercise. So it is with a heavy heart that I host this particular program, not in its entirety. I'm talking about this particular segment here tonight, because my heart bleeds for all those whom injustice has been directed towards. And the number has been on the increase. You know, before coming to studio, I was doing a research on various international institutions and even local ones, those that have dared to use the might of their pens, their mobile phones, social media application, to defy government, to say the truth. So I was looking at the EU and the State Department human rights, reports over the past few years. So it's not like these reports were great. What is alarming is these reports are getting worse because the numbers are increasing. Torture, intimidation, arbitrary arrests, summary executions, killings, assassinations. It's just on the up. And this is not only me saying this. Some of them I've witnessed, I've heard, I've seen, I've read, and this is what is documented by international organizations, and it's quite telling. This is why we say when due process is ignored, justice collapses. We are entitled to a due process. Again, it's a constitutional guarantee. When institutions bend to political pressure or pressures, such as what I just adumbrated earlier a few seconds ago regarding the press, because most of them have bent, have caved in to pressure. the nation drift towards authoritarianism. Is this what we are seeing now? Is this what we are witnessing now? Some could say yes. Of course, others will argue. When we see a first lady acting outside the remit of the law, she's got a right to exercise a franchise as well as a citizen, but we know that she's overstepping a mark. But when you have a press that can call that out, then it is a problem in the nation state. When you have people of prominence, people of power, people of might, they can't call that out. And the worst is they are siding with the violation of the rule of law. Then that in itself is quite telling. Let us be honest, ladies and gentlemen, and let's establish some facts here clearly. And establishing the facts I'm talking about based on legal grounds, okay? Not just hearsay, they say, or out of emotion. Because I can get emotional as well, but we get for firm ground, for make this argument, establish what the facts are on a legal basis. A senior political figure, when a senior political figure, such as the National Secretary General of the All People's Congress, is taken to CID, detained overnight, fined excessively, charged to court, denied bail, remanded to the Pademba Maximum Road Prison, all because of statements that he made at a political gathering, statements that echoed concerns such as was echoing earlier on, and in fact, a responsibility for the opposition party. Statements that have been echoed already by others, such as Marcella Samba's New, such as the Carter Center, and many, many other organizations. Many other organizations. And when I say many, I'm talking about organizations of prominence, such as the Carter Center, the European Union. These statements that the National Secretary General of the All People's Congress uttered are not strange statements. They are not new in itself. Yes, somebody else uttered it in person of the National Secretary General, but the statements have already been uttered by very powerful individuals and institutions because, as a matter of fact, what they were expressing in these statements or these statements that they were making is quite true. It's grounded on the ground that these things are happening. It's documented. But many people now fear consequences, so they are shying away from this. Remember that the observers of the 2023 elections, such as the Carter Center, NEW, the EU, and many others, Irish Aid, they've all echoed this statement, especially what happened with the 2023 elections. This is no joke. Democracy is seriously in question. Then came under all of this, then came the spectacle of 16 February 2026, when magistrate, the controversial magistrate who's got something to do with, what's the little girl's name? Edwina Jamiru, Magistrate Brima Jar Stevens, he abandoned the proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, Magistrate Brima Jar Stevens abandoned the proceedings. And do you know for what? I mean, it's like laughable, but it's not funny. It's like you want to cry, but you can't cry. All because, according to him, too many lawyers appeared for the defense. You can't make this up. This is why the magistrate walked out of a high-profile case, because according to him, too many lawyers appeared or turned out for the defense of the NSG Secretary General. You see what I'm saying all along? This is unacceptable. This is a travesty. And this is really, really happening in this country. And they don't want you to be critical of such a system. How could a magistrate walk out of court only because too many lawyers turn out to defend the accused? Is it grounded in law that if too many lawyers turn out, then the case should not be heard, that the magistrate can walk out? I need somebody to tell me this, please. If this is law, if this is lawful, then let me know before I waste my time on it. But as far as I'm concerned, there's no law that stipulates that because many a lawyer turn out to defend an accused, that warrants the sitting magistrate to walk out of the case, denying a citizen of their constitutional right and making them to suffer even more because probably he could have been, freed, but yet he had to go back to jail. If this is not by design, then you tell me, what is it? What is it really? So instead of hearing the matter, the accused APC accused National Secretary General, he was returned to prison. And this is what I'm trying to say. Another day of suffering, having suffered so much already, just because the magistrate could not hear the case on the flimsy excuse that too many lawyers turn out. So NSG Doumbouya was returned to prison without trial. Now, would you call this due process? Hell no. This is not due process. Would you call this justice? Hell no. This was not justice either. And would you refer to this as democracy? Goodness me, who will? No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. So this man was deprived of his due rights. Now let's establish the constitutional legality educationally and try to be very unambiguous about the matter. Let's take a look at the Constitution of the Republic. What the Constitution of the Republic says, what they allow, especially with the subject matter, if you know what I mean. Okay? If you know what I mean. Spare me one moment. Let me see if I can bring this up. Yep. Let me see if I can bring this up, Fambulan. Okay, that was a bit painful. So anyway, the Constitution of Sierra Leone, the 1991 Constitution, is not a suggestion, and I'm not suggesting anything here. I'm talking about a document, a very serious document, the most powerful document on the land, which is the Constitution, the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone. We will all agree that there's no argument. It's unambiguous. It is the supreme law of the land. Now, if you've got your Constitution open, I want you to have a look at Section 23, 6C. Section 23, 6C. And this talks about the guarantee of rights, okay? So 23, 6C talks about the guarantees, it guarantees the right to be defended by a legal practitioner of one's own choice. I repeat, just in case you didn't get that. The Constitution of Sierra Leone, 1991, Section 23, 6C, it guarantees the right for an accused to be defended by a legal practitioner of the accused's choice. It doesn't put any numerical limit. I will repeat that again for emphasis because of the context. It doesn't put any numerical limit. There is no judicial discretion to restrict representation, and there's no authority to decide which lawyer may or may not appear. Did you pick that up? Do you see the outright abuse by a sitting magistrate of the rights of a citizen? And that magistrate is still sitting because there's no recourse to justice. I mean, as controversial as this is, denying a citizen's right on those kind of excuses, it demands action. Where's the Chief Justice? What is going on? Is it political? I'm not saying, I'm only asking. A magistrate may manage the courtroom, but a magistrate cannot limit the defense team. So a magistrate can manage his courtroom or her courtroom, but they cannot limit the defense team. But even if they have to limit the defense team, you want to have a conversation with the defense team as to why. And you can discuss it there. You might most likely, ask them, can you cut this team in half for health and safety reasons, for capacity reasons, for many, many other reasons, but you need to have that discussion because lawfully speaking, there is no limitation. So whilst the magistrate has got it's like you own your house. That's the magistrate's house by law. But here in the case, everything has to go by the law. What does the law say? So what we now do see is this action was unconstitutional and a violation of natural law, of natural justice. The action of Magistrate Momo Stevens was a violation of the constitutional rights of the National Secretary General of the All People's Congress, Mr. Lansana Doumbouya, a violation of democracy, a violation of the rule of law. High-profile cases worldwide, those of us that follow international news, observers of international news, cases, and etc., knows that accused can have multiple lawyers. It's up to them. I mean, the whole thing is a costly business in the first place. So you're putting money in people's pockets. You might say the All People's Congress have got, like a squadron of lawyers, tons of lawyers, oceans of lawyers. Of course, they do. So you might say the Secretary General is not paying, and the case was pro bono, but they were representing their party, and somebody within the rank and file of their party was being accused, so they had to be there. That's solidarity. That's part of the unwritten rules, you know. But there is no limitation. That's the point I'm trying to make. So when you watch all these international cases in the courtroom, you want to bring a throng of lawyers, that's up to you. It's the case that they're coming to argue, not anything else. Not anything else. This is a normal thing to do. This is a legal thing to do. This is a constitutional thing to do. Now, let me point out the warning signs of democratic decline on a civic basis. Okay? Let me just point these things out. A government that is confident in its legitimacy does not suffer or fear criticism. Now, let me just repeat that quickly because I got a little bit tongue-tied. A government which is confident in its legitimacy does not fear criticism. Does that ring a bell to you? Does that make sense? Because if you are grounded in legality, your government is legal. Now, keep in mind, the last election, which is up to this day as I speak, has divided the nation, and for very good reasons, which means that government legitimacy is questionable. You don't have the back of the people behind you. No, you don't. And so therefore, government becomes more authoritarian because the people are restless. You're thinking, what are they thinking? The people are now living rent-free in your head. No rent, but every day, every morning, every night, it's the people that you're thinking about. You know what I mean? And this is the thing, okay? A government which is committed to democracy does not criminalize dissent. Fambul, and these are very important things. Very, very significant. A government who believes in its legitimacy, okay, will not, cannot, under any circumstances, fear criticism. Because if you are legal, and you're doing the bidding of the people, there will be criticism, but those criticisms will be minor only because people may want more of what you are doing. Not those extreme criticism because you are way off the mark. You're completely opposite to the people. And the government committed to the democracy does not criminalize dissent. Because what is democracy? It's a rule for the people, by the people, with the people. If those three elements all sink in together, why would you want to criminalize dissent? Or why will there be dissent in the first place? Or even if there's dissent, you've got a case to make. Because why? You're doing more. You're doing so much that the vast concourse of people appreciate you, Mr. Government. But not in this case. So because of the illegitimacy, the way you conducted the last elections, you've left this bitter taste in the mouths of your citizens. Now you're living on perception, perceptive, waiting and they think, waiting and they see, as soon as they levy small criticism, whether in a studio self, then go catch people let me inside it. This is authoritarianism. This is fascism. This is it. You coerce the police and the police become your police and the nation become a police state in which where the police is supposed to serve and protect, they are now the aggressor towards the very people that pay them their salaries. This is unacceptable. A government that respects the rule of law does not weaponize state institutions. Did you hear me? A government that, that recognizes or respects the rule of law does not weaponizes state institutions. Are state institutions being weaponized? Well, that's for you to say. Because as far as I think, I would boldly say, yes, we've seen it. We've seen the Kabuki show that takes place in Freetown, in which the Minister of Information will come and basically just do the Kabuki dance, mental gymnastics in behalf of the government. We'll see State House officials, spokespeople, just come and just outrightly lie to the people. Lie to the people. No remorse. Because why? There is no action that will be taken against these people. And I will say, I will submit, I will posit here that the government support these. So that's why people do it. Just because they feel for doing. Because not even government, they send them out there anymore. Now let's talk about selective justice, which is not just unethical, but it is destabilizing. This fake outrage, I get that all the time. I put postings, you get people trolling you and they come back. And one of the things, that really irritates me is when you want to counter my postings, you don't come with relevance. Yeah, some people can just rush for attack. And say these are attack dogs from the side of the government. So they don't think the way they're supposed to think when they come with the submissions or the counters or the rebuttal. So it's easy for identify them and catch them right there. So this is exactly what's going to go on. And people in waking come and say, well, the same thing not been happened 6 years ago, 15 years ago, this and that. What is all this about? We've lived that time. We've criticized that time. We hold them responsible for that time by going to the polls and voting them out because we were promised a new direction. Where is that direction now? Where is it headed? How new is it? How different is it? Come on now, people. Come on now. I mean, you don't come to a point where then take the Sierra Leonean people for be granted. Either we're afraid and we can't do what we're supposed to do, or they don't bribe we over. So this selective outrage, they get them all of the time. And I understand one when I see one, and I don't hold back. Yeah? I'm not Michelle Obama when they go low. When they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, I go lower. Because I can easily identify that, Yeah, Adama Johnson, many thanks, yeah, for watching the program. I hope you will help for share the program as well, please. Yeah. So, would they say a government will respect the rule of law, not weaponize state institutions? Selective justice is not just unethical, it is destabilizing. When citizens then lost trust in the courts, the police, and the state, the social contract begins to unravel. I said something like that earlier, and we're coming to this. Remember, there's a social contract between government and the people, and vice versa, the people and government. So when citizens begin to lose trust in the courts, and when the courts they work in the interest of the citizen, when the police is not acting in the interest of the citizens, it's not serving the will, the needs of the people, and when the state, not really they look at the direction in which the people want for them and go, then they live up to the mandate where the people give them, which all falls under democracy, by the way. In other words, democracy becomes questionable by the people because it's no longer functioning in the interest of the people. That social contract between the people and government and the people begin to unravel. And that unraveling, that's what we are seeing. We are witnessing it in real time occurring now, as I even speak. It happened yesterday, the day before yesterday, now, this hour, and tomorrow it will continue to unravel. It's unraveling. There'll come a time the government cannot cope because it either get more draconian, begin to kill more of its citizens, and the citizens will become even more braver because that social contract way me they respect me on side. In other words, I'm a good citizen. I'm behaving. I'm observing the rule of law. I love my government, but my government is not doing what I'm asking my government to do or what they promised me to do. I've got no healthcare services. I've got no money in my pocket because I don't have a job. The health system is failing. The school system is failing. All these institutions of government are not functioning, so therefore they are being weaponized by a few who are chosen by the government to head this institution, and they are weaponizing this institution against their very own people. This is draconian. This is authoritarian. So once people lose trust in such a government because of these things that I have just made very clear, then the center cannot hold. Because remember again, I just said it's unraveling. It's unraveling, and it is. A judiciary perceived as compromise become a tool of coercion. Again, the weaponization of state institutions. So the judiciary is being weaponized. Parliament is being weaponized. And you can ask why, because in the parliament sits the opposition. But you got some opposition sellouts. We got reports of people visiting, and this is common practice anyway. Some man them broke, go to government get cash. So government give you some cash, brown envelopes, still they happen. So you day on government side, you abandon your own constituents, your own party, and deal with government because government they give you them backhand their corruption right inside the people's house. So all these institutions are being weaponized against the very people that they were meant to stand for. So once we don't begin to see this judiciary don't become compromised, imagine, then there is no justice. Then justice becomes selective. You were there for government. If you do something, well, they're not going to even look that way. They will look the other way and allow you for do what they do. And we've seen it many a times. But if you oppose government or you happen by accident for belong to the other side and you say something, regardless of how, because there have been some extreme things said, we must accept that, asinine as they may be, yeah. But some have been less, asinine, less toxic. But in any case, as you say, and because government afraid, dissenting views, which people are entitled to. and then they will be arrested. Selective justice. I call on the other day two-tier justice system. That's what's happening. One, if they support government, if you do wrong, then look the other way. If you're not and you're a critique of government, just say the least thing, you'll be picked up by the law and they'll detain you, molest you, waste your time, and etc. And this should not be happening in a country perceived as a democratic state. So these democratic values are waning. They are eroding right in front of our eyes. A police force that is perceived as partisan becomes an instrument of intimidation, a police state. Doesn't that sound like a police state? Yes, it very much sounds like a police state because the police itself has been weaponized. It's pathetic. State police has been weaponized. Country become a police state. Police did now carry out where one minister say, go catch that person, not because the person broke any law, because the minister not let come. You know, that's what's happening. And it's really unfortunate. I mean, we get good police. Don't get me wrong. You got people within the police institution who are good people, and I'm sure their hearts are bleeding what's happening. But the institution in itself has been weaponized against its very people. State courts. A government perceived as intolerant becomes a threat to its own citizens. Government not tolerant anymore. Anything where people they say, like I say, the people are now living rent-free inside government aid. Because government just think, waiting in a plan, even when people in the sleep, well, tomorrow morning I go look like. And you have yourself to blame because you're not doing what you promised to do for the people. Look out for the people. Energy security, food security, health security, job security, all these things are not available. So kotia, putia, kotrotia, this, that, first lady dancing, throwing hints and things like that in the state, just to distract we. But I'm sure the people are not foolish. And everything has got time. Everything has got time. You get date where begin and you get date where they end. So government becomes intolerant. And the only reason is because you know they do what you're supposed to do. So people are becoming restless, especially in a nation where the youth population is far greater than the older people. So youthful population that you're supposed to make use of. This, ladies and gentlemen, is not the path Sierra Leone deserves. This is not the future Sierra Leoneans fought for. This is not democracy promised us in 1991. Now, let me speak again, this time directly to you, the viewers and listeners, and those who will subsequently listen to this program. I want to talk about action, I want to talk about inspiration and empowering you, and even potentially for motivate you. Remember, we said information is power. On this platform, we want for educate, we want for inform, we want for inspire, which we are doing. The country, our country, Sierra Leone, must choose a different path. A path that is grounded in constitutional discipline, judicial independence, respect for political speech, fair and transparent trials, equal application of the law, and institutional integrity. I repeat these things because they are very important, very central to the conversation Sierra Leoneans are having now. But it has to be done collectively. So these views need to resonate with the broader concourse of we people. So what we as a people must choose now is a path which is grounded, one, in constitutional discipline, two, judicial independence, three, respect for political speech, four, fair and transparent trials, five, equal, I repeat, application of the law, and then six, institutional integrity. Democracy is not sustained by slogans. It is sustained by discipline, legal, moral, and institutional. I repeat, democracy is not all slogans because we're fond of slogans. We had a program here, I think, about 4 weeks ago, in which we've been to talk about the difference between slogans and policy. There's a massive difference, an entire ocean of difference between the two. And what we are saying to you is don't be carried away by slogans, or at least understand that slogan is different from policy, completely different. We can kind of today we say, okay, we take on to a new direction. That is not a policy. It's a slogan. Today better pass, yeah, trade. And then kind of thing, and we need for able for distinguish between these things. Fellow citizens, the treatment of Lansana Doumbouya is not an isolated incident. It is a warning sign. We've seen many warnings before, and we'll continue to see warnings, but this high-profile detention, remand in prison, heavy fine, and the masquerade or kabuki by Justice Stevens is not to be ignored. It is a warning sign. A democracy that punishes dissent is a democracy in decline. A democracy that punishes dissent is a democracy in decline. But decline, my fellow countrymen, is not a destiny. It's not our destiny. The correction is possible. Reform is achievable. It's not a distant goal. It's reachable. It's tangible. It can be seen. It can be touched. It can be effected. Courage is what is necessary. Courage is what we need. Courage is what we should aspire for to accomplish this task. Now, let me close this delivery with a powerful motivation and hopeful message tone for you, the viewers and the listeners, both now and the one that we get for listening, here subsequently. Can I ask you to please share? Please share this program. It's very important. And I thank those of you. The numbers are low, but we appreciate the fact that you're watching now. And this is why consistency is very important, because there have been many weeks we haven't aired the program. Imran is not available. So Mondays have been going free of charge, but we got people that are regularly looking forward to hosting these programs. So I promise you that the program will not be necessary, at least between about 3 programs a week. So spread the good news. And please share this one. When we finish, we're also going to dissect major parts of this broadcast. And this is very, very important. Very, very important indeed. Now, like I was saying, or as I was saying, Sierra Leone has endured too much history to repeat old mistakes. Yes, somebody asked me whether I'm going to open the phone line. Yes, let me take a few calls. Yeah, I'll take few calls. It's necessary. Let me make some adjustments and see whether I can put the number up. Let me put the number up. I'm sorry, okay. It wasn't long ago, 22:19, 3 minutes. Yeah. So yes, we'll take a few calls. Let me see if I can find the number for put the number up. I need for put the number up. Yeah. So Fambulem, now thank you so much for watching and listening. Like I said, somebody asked whether we're gonna take a phone call or two. Yes, I will take a phone call or two. The number to call is +44 077 4010 7250. Still a look for the number for put up, but it's 0044 country code 077 4010 750 is the number to call. Yes, I'm happy to take a call or two. Okay. Wanna bear with me? Let me just get this number up. Let me type something quickly. So basically, thank you so much for listening so far. I want to make a call. If you want to make a call in on this program, call in on this program. Okay, so that will be +44 07740107250. Remember, if you call from outside, then you have to use the country code. But if you call inside, I have to call the number straight. So that's the number to call if you want to make a call, okay? The lines are open. You can call now if you want. You can call now if you want. Yeah. And at the same time, we're going towards the end of the program, but please feel free to call. So what I was saying is the country, our country, with sweet Salone, it don't endure too much history for repeat old mistakes. Our nation stands at a crossroads. Just a quick reminder, this democracy that we'll talk about, this democracy which is deeply informed by every metric that you can use, is really, really troublesome and worrying. Really troublesome and worrying. We fought a decade plus more civil war to arrive at a democracy, to arrive at the Second Republic. We lost tens of thousands of compatriots. Blood was shed. People then lost their limbs. The young, the very young, and the old, for this democracy that people in the play with so. Where they feel say it belong to them personally, when not only for enrich themselves and then make a mockery of the rest of the nation, where basic services cannot be provided. We all think na propaganda. Everything is based on propaganda. Economy, they in very, very bad shape. So we struggle, we fight, we die for this democracy, and we should not hesitate once more for die for them. Having said no hesitate for die for them doesn't mean that I'm calling for war. Before people can misinterpret me point. I've seen war more than once, and I don't wish war never again. Never. But the nation stands at a crossroads as we speak, as I speak. One road leads to constitutionalism, fairness, and democratic maturity, whilst the other leads to authoritarian reflexes, institutional decay, and national division. Which one will you choose? I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of Sierra Leoneans will choose the first road we are talking about, which leads to constitutionalism, the rule of law. That's constitutionalism, respect for the rule of law, fairness, and democratic maturity. Other than the other one, we talk about, or where they lead with to authoritarian reflexes, institutional decay, and national division. And if I can add, the weaponization of institutions against the very electorates, we the people. The choice belongs to the government. The responsibility belongs to the nation, to the institutions. Okay, I think this is the first caller. Yeah, hi caller. I'm sure you want to make a contribution to the program.
Yes, sir. Brother Prince. Good evening. Good evening. They follow the program. And also really, really interesting. So on that note, makes everyone give me take on the program.
Absolutely. So if you can just identify yourself quickly and who's you they call from, and the floor is all yours. Many thanks.
Right. Thank you so much. Yes, Albert, the call from Chapman. Yeah, I got this very interesting topic where it got something to do with the rule of law, and I see you talk about even the highlights of the APC National Institution now. So now that notes, I just want to quickly give me your thought as well.
Sure.
Listening to everything you don't mention throughout this program, quite interesting. This is just a fact. and the voices I believe so we all as Sierra-Leoneans need. So that we continue to amplify the things we continue to talk about them and demand accountability, demand transparency. These are things we'll be talking about. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for giving me the floor. Since the program they go, I see you cover the program in English, and perhaps I will limit my contribution as well in English.
Sure.
So once again, thank you for the Queens for giving me the floor. Well, Queens, what is happening in Sierra Leone today? Right now, it's not a small political disagreement, not at all. It is a constitutional alarm bell.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we see the rule of law becomes optional, you know what? Mm-hmm. Democracy becomes ornamental as well.
Yep.
And without any doubt, the due process is replaced by the selective enforcement we are seeing every day. Every citizen, regardless of party, becomes vulnerable. That is what is happening in our country today.
Yeah.
And when we, even from a distance, when we stop, we listen to, we follow up about the arrest of the APC National Secretary General Lansana Duboye, it's not just about one particular man. It is a test of whether state power is still bound by laws or whether law is being bent to justify state power.
Exactly.
And in any democracy, the government must be the first to obey the Constitution. The government should not be the last to remember it.
Yep.
So we all must be very clear that justice cannot be credited in any way whatsoever when it appears targeted. It appears to be politically convenient because no government, whether past, whether present, or even the future, has the authority to criminalize opposition.
Yeah.
That is a red line. That is a red line. Yeah. That is a red line that separates democracy from being authoritarianism. That's a red line.
Yeah.
You know, this is not about APC or SLPP or MGC or whatever you. This is about the soul of the republic.
Yep.
Sierra Leoneans, our brothers and sisters, our dads, our mothers, fought too hard, suffered so much, too deeply, and sacrificed too much as well to allow silence to become completely into what's going on today in our country.
Yep.
Sierra Leone, our country, or our leaders, can't be preaching peace while practicing intimidation on a daily basis. It's a shame.
Yep.
Because stability itself cannot be built on the state of fear. And when you see a government who wants to maintain legitimacy through arrest, through intimidation, you are not legitimatizing yourself. You are harming yourself. You are delegitimizing yourself. It's a shame.
Yep.
What Sierra Leone needs now is nothing but transparency, constitutional discipline. And of course, we can't leave the institutional courage as well. Because you see, the judiciary itself, just like you mentioned during your analysis, and I was so impressed, judiciary itself, my brother, must act independently. Parliament must act responsibly as well. But civil society, they must not just speak, but they must also act boldly. And I don't think I will leave out the citizens. We as citizens must also insist that no political arrest is above the law, or no political interest, no political figure, no political party should be above the law. And of course, none of us, no citizen, should be, in it as well. No. If the government believes in its innocence, but if the government believes that yes, they are innocent, that things like this that we're talking about is not existing, it should open the civic space. It should welcome scrutiny. It should not suppress it. If it believes us, or it believes in democracy, it should protect dissenting views, dissenting voices, not to punish it, not to punish them. And if they believe in the people, they should stop actions that provoke national anxiety. That's what we are seeing every day. Our country deserves a government that is governed by the laws, not by the impulse we are seeing. The should be governed by a democracy that respects opposition views, opposition voices, opposition parties. Not a democracy that fears the opposition, not a democracy that fears dissenting voices or critical minds. No. We need a government of a democracy that its institutions serve the people, not the few powerful. So I think this should be a moment for the leadership as well to maintain the restraint.
Yeah.
And of course, with constitutional fidelity, I just like the title or the title of your program.
Thank you.
Because once the rule of law is collapsed, my brother, everything we are talking about here collapse with it. That's it. It's simple. So I don't want to be on the phone for that too long. I don't want to be there coming and talking here. There might be a caller as well waiting. I want to thank you so much, my brother. Thank you for giving me the floor, for giving me the time to talk. I thank you, brother.
And can I say thank you, for picking up the phone and making such a valuable contribution to the program. I shall speak to you later. Many thanks.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was a contribution there from a brother, and very powerfully said. And you can hear from every nuance and the sentences that we're making, voice, that not something we're very dear to Ram, and it should be dear to every one of us. So as I was saying, we've endured too much in that country. So we should not be allowing history to repeat these old mistakes. Every human being on earth, every country on earth, every nation state on earth is vying to make progress. How for go before, not to how for go behind. Not to 2-step forward and then 3-step behind. That you're not making any progress at all. In the 21st century, everybody is aspiring to make progress. Civilized nations, good healthcare facilities for its people, good educational system, good roads, good energy system. But not one where up till now is being rationed. So our nation does stand at a crossroad. And as I said earlier, there's a road which leads to constitutionalism, fairness, and democratic maturity, which I believe the vast majority of us as citizens will prefer to take or are taking, other than the one that leads to authoritarian reflexes, institutional decay, and national division. Unfortunately, there are people within the country that are taking this path, but I can tell you there's just a handful of them. And why? Because they are benefactors of the regime. the crumbs that falls off the table, they are feeding off it. So they don't mind to continue to champion the cause of this failed government. Now I say the choice belongs to the government and the responsibility belongs to the institutions to carry out these choices. The vigilance belongs to the citizens. We should remain vigilant as citizens of the nation. It's a civic responsibility. It's a constitutional duty. And the truth belongs to every one of us. The rule of law is not optional. Remember, that's where I started, and this is where we so title this program, that the rule of law is not optional. It is the foundation of the republic. It is the shield of the weak. And I like this very much, that the rule of law is not optional. It is the very foundation of the republic and the shield for the weak. You know, you got very powerful people in the society, as I mentioned at the top of this program. And you've got weaklings, like in every society. But what those weaklings in those societies have is the rule of the law, that they can go somewhere and get the benefit of the doubt, that due process will be accorded them. Once this is missing, then a chain is broken and the country is heading for disaster, or that nation state is heading for disaster. So, whilst it's the shield of the weak, it's the restraint of the powerful. That's why they don't want us to hold them to account. They strongly don't want us to hold them to account. And that institution, the press, the fourth estate, who are supposed to be holding them to account, most of them have become complicit in the failed institutions of our country, in the failed leadership of our country, because they're failing to call them out. And it is the only path to a stable, united, and democratic Sierra Leone. Sierra Leoneans, fellow citizens, compatriots, friends, I say to you that a new day will dawn in this country. Consider this, even though you may not want it, as a nightmare. And a nightmare is a short-living experience. I don't say 8 years is a short-living experience, but this is when we need to begin to gather ourselves for that massive change that we want, because we can't continue the same. No. If something has failed us, just like how we felt that the APC failed the nation 8 years ago and was voted out of power, then why is the same thing not true? But you know that you'll be up against a draconian authoritarian regime who will do every trick in the book and will resort to every violence, as we've seen, just to perpetuate themselves in power. But the will of the people must prevail and will prevail. Pambulem, like I say, the man where they host this program is unavailable at the moment, and we've gone a couple of weeks without any program for like the 2 days, Mondays and Wednesdays. But I promise that going forward, we'll have that slot filled. We can understand the low numbers because people and they expect you to come on after many weeks. And in this business, which I've been in for a while, you have to be consistent. That's how you get the numbers. And I'm saying, those of you that have watched, those of you that will watch, please share. Please help to share. And please ask others to subscribe to the platform. The platform subscription is free. We just want to raise the numbers because it helps to get them big one. Them if we want for interview, although not in interview mode at this time, but rather they in monologue mode. But once in a while, definitely, we will be doing interviews. I want to say thank you very much for joining us on the platform. Stay informed, stay courageous, stay committed to the truth, for only the truth shall set us free. On behalf of the TNN podcast, my name is Prince Emil Krumah, and I thank you so much for listening. Until we catch up again sometime this week, keep tuned. Goodbye for now.